So once he's below 4, he's between 3 and 4, you'll get this again from the information that's on here. But if you're between 3 and 4, he's in a bit of bother, and you need to do something about it quite quickly. You need the hypo treatment, the jelly babies, which you'll see him given in the video. If he's lower than 3, you need to act extremely quickly, and he'll need a full hypo treatment, not just a couple of jelly babies. He'll need the 5, and then occasionally, less than 10 times, I'd say he's been in the 1s, which is terrifying.
I did it yesterday, 1.7.
Yeah.
For not really any reason. Maybe he'd been more active at nursery.
So, and there's just a sense of panic really when that happens. And when he goes high, the urgency's not the same, but you know that he's already suffering. So it's just this constant moving thing, because what can affect the blood sugar?
Oh gosh, everything. Obviously what you eat and drink can affect you, but exercise, if you're unwell, if you have a virus or a bug, the weather, if it's too hot, your insulin can go off and you can go really high. What else? Emotions, stress, excitement.
So, despite the fact that you get better at it, you get better at trying to manage this uncontrollable thing. Only last week George got a sicky bug, which just kind of got around. We all got it. But when he's sick, it's really serious, because it does some terrible things to his blood sugar. There's been 2 episodes, and we really fight hard to keep him out of hospital. We've given everything we can to make sure he doesn't go back, but he did end up in A&E again. He got a sicky bug and he just kept going below. Now, the way to treat it is obviously to ingest stuff. So he'll have glucojuice, he'll have glucogel and jelly babies. But when you're sick, and you don't want to eat anything. You don't want to eat
because it'll make you vomit again.
So even the one where he ended up in hospital, that was happening, and we fought and fought, and it got to about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then just couldn't fight it anymore. Each time we were giving him hypo treatment, you could see his number going down, 2.4, 2.2. He's heading into the 1s, and you're panicking. It's awful.
Well, I don't know if you've said about what could happen if he goes too low or stays too low.
Not really.
There's obviously you can go unconscious and go into a coma, or you could have seizures from being low, which is a fit. So that's also awful. So this is what we're trying to prevent by feeding our child jelly beans.
Yeah. So we gave up about 2 a.m. that day, and then I just remember running through A&E with him, carrying him, and he just sort of something he promised would never happen again when he got diagnosed. He just promised that would never happen again, and it happens. And so they tried and treat him then, and you know how urgent it is. You know the situation, and again they couldn't get a line in. So history kind of repeating itself a little bit, and that was horrific. And then it's also a unique disease because each child acts differently. George's best mate, it's lovely that they're friends, and you've seen a really lovely interview on here with his mum, this wonderful mum, Elle, who also fights like an absolute trooper. She's extraordinary. But Indy's on 4 times as much insulin as George, and they're the same size, same age, same everything. There's no rhyme nor reason to it. So each child is so different. So when you go to hospital and you have you know your child better than they do, and that's coming from somebody who has so much respect for every doctor.
Well, the only thing that they can do at hospital that we can't do at home is give him glucose intravenously. Yeah. So they put him on a drip and then feed him that way, and that doesn't make him sick. So that's the only way, that we could help him at that time. When we tried everything else, every other food that we could possibly get, even ice pops and lollies and ice cream and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Hospital is the only option.
Well, I mean, in that episode, the way it ended was the next day he was still suffering, and we're in hospital, and I'm desperate to get him out of hospital again. Not irresponsibly so, of course, but also part of me knows him so well. George is a much better version of me, but much better. But there are a terrifying number of his characteristics that are the same. I think that's probably fair to say.
Right there.
Yeah, he's much better, kinder, more generous. Just
So far.
yeah, well, he's a lovely boy. Anyway, I know what I'd feel like in the same situation, and I can see the stress that he doesn't mention it. He doesn't ever make a fuss. He's an extremely brave young chap, but I knew that the stress was causing him trouble, which is causing his numbers more trouble. So I remember talking to the doctor and saying, I think if I get him home and I get him to sleep, he'll get over this bug. If he has one good chunk of sleep, it'll go. And the doctor said to me, really, you sure? Because if it happens again... And we spoke about it, and I was sure about that. So they said, okay, well, I tell you what, if he's not sick in the next 3 hours, you can take him home. And it got to 2 hours, 57 minutes or something, and he was sick again. And his numbers started to go down. Doctor comes back in. His numbers are in the 3s now. And I said to the doctor, I still want to take him home. So the doctor said, well, look, you know your child better than we do if you're really sure about what to do. And I just remember the responsibility of that. I felt horrific.
I know.
But we took him home, and then I can remember testing him in the living room. Praying during that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that he wouldn't be, because if he's in the 2s, I'd put his life in
I'd
danger.
go straight back to hospital, really.
And he was in the 4s, so I ran out of the room before he could see me burst into tears with just incredible relief. So I think last week we had an episode quite similar to that, and I had a situation where Tracy had gone to work, and I'd just given him the insulin for some food. He'd just eaten this big amount of food. He'd already been sick earlier in the day, but he gets back on his food quite quickly. And he was really, really sick, and his numbers were in the 2s, and he had a huge amount of active insulin, which means that the pump can tell you that there's a period of time where the drugs are taking action still, and it tells you exactly how much insulin's still at work, with a lot. So you're in this awful situation where you've got this poor kid's thrown his guts up, and I have to talk him into eating again, and he didn't want to, and I tried everything, and I sweating and panicking and trying to not look like I was panicking, and then crying and trying to look like I wasn't crying, because that sense of fear and panic and thinking, I'm going to have to get in an ambulance. And so I just I managed to lace some ice cream with honey. I completely laced it, and that's how I got him up, and he sort of stayed up, but even though he's going like yeah. I suppose this is just a way of illustrating that it wasn't just that savage diagnosis. And this isn't a woe is me, because we don't feel like that at all. I think the purpose of all of this, and the reason I'm desperate to do this run, and the reason I'm desperate for people to send it on, to spread the word, is because it's just this really relentless, tough condition. And I used to part with a lot, and I just don't want that anymore. This is really innocent, lovely kid, and it would be incredible to take this away from him. So, what would you do to get rid of type 1, do you think?
Yeah, anything. Sell my legs. Sell anything. I don't know. Do anything at all.
Would you have it?
Yeah, definitely take it from him in a heartbeat. Any second.
I think it's a question sort of asked myself a lot, and I feel quite structured to say this in front of my wife. I'd totally die to get rid of diabetes for George. There's no question about that. I should qualify what I'm going to say there, because there's no intention of doing that. But if somebody gave it to me on a piece of paper, they said, "Oh, look, you go, and his diabetes will be gone." I mean, there's something in the small print. I'd say, yeah, but in the small print, I need to know that Tracy and Ava, his little sister, and Georgia are made to be as happy as they could be if I was around. That's the small print, but that's the only thing. God, in an absolute second, because it's just tough watching him. But what? Just tell people a little bit about what he goes through, the bad things.
Gosh, I mean, even the cannula changes are bad enough. No.
So what do we do? We've seen one of those. You've seen the needle, hopefully, in the equipment video. But it's the brutality of pinning him down. And
yeah, I mean, him screaming, "Get off me! Help me! Don't do this! It hurts!" is, brutal. And we have to physically, really, with all of our strength, pin him down, because he's a very strong boy and he really doesn't want a needle to be rammed into him. And I think he does understand that it helps him, keeps him healthy, but it's not enough for him. Obviously it hurts a lot. But also just his changing blood sugar, it really exhausts him. The ups and downs.
Yeah, so let's... I didn't want any of this to be downbeat. It's really difficult to talk about it without... because you're dealing with tough stuff, I think. So, a little bit about now. So, it's really important to point out all the stuff that you come through, and the things that I'm most proud of is that any new parent, or if you're an uncle or an aunt or whatever you are, you're aware of how tough it can be to have a new child, and how exhausting. And my sister was here today, and they were teasing her about this beautiful boy, and he's beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful. He's heaven. He's so well behaved, and he sleeps. So they were teasing her about how well he sleeps, and she was complaining that he woke her up by doing something lovely like singing or giggling, but it was a fraction too early. And so they asked us about sleep. Tell people about sleep first of all, and then I'll ask you another question. So, I don't know, what's the average night sleep? What happens?
Average night, probably George's alarm goes off minimum 4 times, which means 4 times we hear it on the bed monitor, get up, out of bed, go into his bedroom, test him, act upon the number, either give him more insulin or give him jelly babies, wait for a bit to see if it's taken effect, then try and go back to bed and try and go back to sleep, and then wait for the next alarm to go off.
So we were joking at lunch, and they said, "Oh, how many times have you slept through in 3 months?" And it was 3.
3 nights full sleep that we've had in 3 months. No wonder we look so rugged.
Yeah, well, I had to do a training run the other day and did. Sorry,